hopefully that should be it working now. I thought all the settings were the same as last time, but I'm guessing I missed something out there. You have a specific job working in frame 30 sometimes complete multiple tasks. My job, I'm a modeler, so I just do modeling that can be hard surface or soft surface, and just depends on the task, and we have to UV unwrap anything that we model. I don't touch any texturing at all. There's a whole department that specialises in that. Do you find unwrapping easy or fun? I don't enjoy it. It's not an exciting task, that's for sure. But it's a necessary evil. You find ways to kind of make it more fun. Normally just with some really good music, that helps. My head is not attached today, it would seem. It's not the prettiest ever. This is going to be one of these occasions that I'm just going to need to add more geometry than it probably needs, but if you need it, you need it. There are certain departments in Professional Studio hard to get into. By the time you kind of get to a big high-end professional studio, you'll already know what you're good at, and you'll be hired based on that. If you're going to be a modeler, you need to be pretty good at everything. In a big studio, it's very unlikely that you can specialize in something so specific as like perhaps like a weapons artist or something like that. That's more of something you do at a game studio, because in films we're making such a wide variety of things constantly. There's just not enough work to justify like an artist who only does one individual thing. You need to be a bit more versatile. If you're going to be starting out though, I mean you're so my brain is not attached today. Paint and Roto would be your easiest starting step. That's where a lot of the runners go into. It's a good kind of get your foot in the door one. So other than that, they're all pretty much the same. You have to be studied up, you have to be pretty good. I'd say rather than think about which one's the hardest to get into, just get into the one that you want to do and interests you. Doesn't matter whether it's hard or not, you'll find a way to make it work, if that makes sense. You shouldn't base your decisions on where you want to work based on how easy or hard it's going to be. And yeah, don't worry about asking the questions. That's the whole point of these. You can ask as many questions as you want. It won't bother me at all. You're asking about the UV as well. I'll probably end up UVing this at the end, so you'll get an idea of how it will work if that is of interest to you. Favorite project model to work on this far? Ooh, that's a pretty good question. Totally flumped me with that one. Probably working on Thor, just because Thor Ragnarok, it was just a really good fun film to work on. Just because the subject matter was interesting. It was good for research because you could just go watch Thor movies or read cartoons to get inspired. And, well, that was my first big film I worked on as well. I think probably though my favourite project I've worked on was on Alita Battle Angel, because I got to do some really cool stuff on that. It was some character work, some really cool environments, really big project. I'd say though my favourite models don't match up with my favourite film. It's not out yet, but you can make your own judgments on it. But it was for Wonder Woman 2. I did a huge amount of environment modelling. Did quite a few hero props as well. I think it's the most work I've ever done in a film, so I've got some really high-end, really deep detailed stuff in there. So I think that would probably be my favourite models, but definitely not my favourite project. And hello there. Let's try and figure this out. It was a bit of a working on Leo one. The city was a pain in the ass to make, not because of what it was, but just for the sheer damn scale of it. It was an incredible level of detail went into that film, which on the flip side is what made me enjoy it so much, because I enjoy ridiculously over the top detailed projects. I find them much more interesting. And it tends to be in the large scale things like that city, you actually have a chance to be creative. A lot of the time we're not creating anything or really adding anything, you're just doing exactly what it says in the tin, so to speak. So with Alita, at least, it was, because it was so big, everything couldn't be completely controlled. It was more of like, here's a baseline, go mad and see what you can make. That made it a really good fun project to work on. The only down was it was a very short project. I think we were like 4 or 5 months, so there wasn't a lot of time to stop and enjoy what we were working on. can barely spell tonight either. I think it's just going to be one of those days when the brain doesn't turn on. I do like quite a lot of back and forward between creating meshes and deleting meshes, and it looks like a lot of repetition. What I'm doing when I'm doing that is just trying out a few different ways before I commit to one to make sure that whatever option it is that I go with is going to give me the tidiest, cleanest result. It's just a bit faster than kind of committing to one and then having to go in and fix lots of bits later on, and just make it easy for yourself in the beginning. Nice and circular now. And go. How are things doing up in Glasgow? Is it as mad there as everywhere else? You asked about the warm-up modelling. I've spent all day working modelling already, so I should be pretty warmed up, but the flip side is I've absolutely rotted my brain today. I drank way too much tea while I was working, so I guess this is working like cool down modelling. For warm-up stuff, I don't really do anything like that. What I try and do is I try and leave a model or a project at a very definitive point before I go home at night. Like I won't leave like a circle half made or some obscure something weird going on in there. I have some kind of weird obscure setup. I'll try and make sure that it's somewhere that I know exactly what's going on so I can easily come back to it in the morning. Alright, so what's gone wrong here? It's the kind of simple stuff that I should have noticed. Give me just a second to tidy this and I'll show you how I go about that. Head is not in the game today. So for keeping things with the nice, for keeping the cylindrical good with all the tight edge loops, I normally will do, let's just make one here quickly. So I wouldn't do a tight edge loop in here because there's not enough geometry. So I would try and keep things fairly dense if I was going to cut something in here. So say I was going to cut in one in here. Let's just quickly add in some loops here. So what I would do for this is rather than just having loops at the edges, I would probably put another extra one in, just so that when this tries to pull across, you do have that extra point of kind of geometry they can work with. And I'll always try and keep the original cylinder or make a new one to match, which I subdivide. Let's just make that fit. And then what I do is I'm going to do this one completely over exaggerated just so it's a bit more obvious. But that cylinder I have on the outside, I put on a background constraint. See down here, which is set to the vector, so then when I zoom this out, it can only go as far as that, and because I've subdivided that, it will bring back the round edge, and because I've got this support loop in there, and we'll be able to see the difference here. You can see the top one now is nice and it's just pretty nice. So it's, you can see you got like the nice round profile at the top, whereas here's the one where you got the tight edge loops. And if I get rid of these ones at either side of it, it does kind of give you like a flat point. So I always like to put in just one extra just to hold it, just to be safe. Because you can do this by going up another geometry step, but you don't really need to. Yeah, I did it rather than trying to stick to spending a lot of time by hand going in and getting every vert perfect to make a cylinder. I'll just make the geometry I need, I'll put in all the loops that are needed, then I'll project it back onto the cylinder. Just that way it's so much easier. A lot faster, it'll save you a headache, and you normally end up getting better results as well. Right, where were we at with this one? In Maya, I think it is called shrink wrap. It should do about the same kind of thing from what I understand. But, I mean, in Maya. try and snap on. That front end done, we've got the top done. Cool, and that's just the buttons at the back to make. I'm just going to do a quick check. I always like to check as I'm going to make sure that you just see thing on the side here. If you've got the stats panel, so yeah, it's all 4-point polys, no triangles, no insided shapes. Can you get rid of pinching on those tighter edges, or that causes some problems? On which edges are we talking about? Top part with the little inset on the button edge. Yeah, I think there is some mild bit of pinching on that one, but I'm trying not to go too high res on this one. All you have to do is just step it up a level, and it'd be easy enough to resolve. Just for this, if I'm honest, I can't really be bothered because there's not any real point to this model, because the idea is that I'm wanting to create or kind of fix up other people's models for them to go through specific problems. So this was a case of just picking a random thing. Looked at my desk and saw this little thing sitting here. So I'd be happy to go into more depth with someone's actual proper model that needs fixed. This is just for fun. Once I've done this, I'm just someone gonna have it, and I'm gonna delete it. It's not a model I'm gonna do anything with. rounder. So if I know that it's kind of a more round edge, I'll probably put a bevel in. I try and avoid using bevels too much though, because a real pain in the bum to go back and edit afterwards. There's some cool tools in here, like there's a bevel kind of undo tool, but I've not had enough of a chance to play with it yet to know if it's something I want to properly include into my workflow. Way off. to be a wee bit softer, so maybe only put the one in. There's 2 loops in there. Just one in here just to hold it a bit better. A wee second. So this machine I'm using at the moment, it's a Ryzen 9 3900X. It's what is that? It's HyperX. It's HyperX Evo RAM. I think it is 32 gig, and it's a RTX 2070 I've got in here. It's completely overkill for modelling. You don't need anything like that. I just don't update my computer very often, so when I do, I kind of get the best I can at that particular point in time, and see how long I can keep using it for without changing it, because I'm a cheap bugger essentially. And the PC specs is another one of those questions I get quite a lot. People are really interested in knowing what system they need to have. For modelling, it really doesn't matter. Texturing's kind of a bit more important. The only time it really starts to make an impact on things is when you're going to be getting into doing simulations and things like that. That's when you need to start being concerned about your PC. In rendering wise, that always kind of sucks. That was the reason I went with this 3900X, because just for the, I've just got to do it at stock clock speed, but it can chew through renders pretty good. There is another machine under this desk, which I'm using for some different things. It's the 2990X, one of the Threadripper ones, and it's got 2 AMD, what are they called? W1900 I think they are. Let me just check, make sure the names is right. There you go, yes, it's got dual Radeon W9100s in it. That's like a 16 or 32 gig card. It's an absolute monster. That machine has 2 of them in it. The Threadripper's got, I think it's twice as many cores. It's got a bunch more RAM in it. and for modelling and the work that I'm doing, I honestly don't notice any difference between that and my home setup. I mean, it's kind of like a dream PC, it's the one that you drool over at a showroom, and it honestly makes no difference. Most of my portfolio was built on a PC that I made of it. In total it was just under £220. Just got it off of Office Spares, random little bits off of eBay, and just built up an absolute Frankenstein of a thing. And as long as it works, that's all you need. What's it called? See if I find the name of it, if you're looking for like a really cheap way to get into it. Yeah, the old backup one, it's an HP... I just read it. An HP Z600. Not a very expensive system because they're quite out of date. They've got old Xeons in them, but if you're just looking for sheer core volume just for doing renders, they're a really good way to go about it because you can pick them up for dirt cheap. Yeah, I keep all my stuff at stock. What I generally try and do is try not to put any really specific features in a PC, or I don't really push any of the kind of custom stuff, because if I get really used to something at home, it's going to really bug me when I can't get it to work. So I just try to make sure things work, things run. I try not to make it too unique or custom or odd, because it would just bug me. The PCs we got at work are a lot slower than the PCs I got at home. That's about done. That's about as far as I'll push this one. Let's just have a wee look at it and see how it's... Let's chuck a couple of quick materials on there just to see how it looks. it's quite shiny. Can knock that back afterwards. Actually, it's fine there. Whatever that is. Metal I'm happy enough with. Okay, how a kit bash is used through different projects. So normally we'll make a kit kind of while we're working on the film, and you'll reuse that part as much as you can throughout it. It's a lot faster and it keeps things consistent. If we've made something in another film, it's kind of a generic object, we'll pull it in and use it. It's already been modeled, textured, it's already gone through all the passes, there's no point redoing it. In regards to bringing in things from other films, if it's from something quite recognisable, we will have to model it, some changes into it and kind of make it different so that it's not recognisable as a different IP. But it's essentially, if you can do it faster that way, you do it that way. It's more, speed's more important. Okay, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's just chuck a random environment. I'm going to chuck a random environment on here. Just let it render for a wee second, and I'm going to end the stream there. I'll do the UV mapping in the next one, because I'm trying to keep these down to an hour, just because at the moment I'm working from home, so I'm spending all day working and I don't want to spend all night doing the same thing. Okay, so I do the UV mapping in there, or if you've got any suggestions for what you want to see modelled on the next ones, go for it. This is the time to let me know so I can get it prepared. Otherwise, once this kind of environment's done, I'll be heading off. Cool. I'm gonna leave it there for tonight, so thanks again for watching. I'll be recording this up on YouTube as always. The link's just below the channel there. And if for whatever reason you want to go hold this model, get in touch, I'll send it over to you. Because once I'm done with this, it will just be deleted or left in a hard drive to rot forever. So yeah, thanks for watching. Super cool as well. I know it's really annoying because anytime you watch a video you get asked to do it, but it'd be handy if you could share it about, or some other people you think might be interested in the channel, let them know it exists, just so they can get in touch and we can maybe work on some projects that they're interested in as well. So yeah, thanks for watching and have a good night.